Hey guys! Comic Boom here to review Secret Empire and issues 2 and 3 and a slew of other crossovers. We're also going to be talking about the latest Steve Rogers Captain America. We're also going to be talking about Sam Wilson Captain America crossover, issue 22, along with Doctor Strange number 21 and Deadpool number 31. We're going to summarize all of them under one heading: top 10 reasons just how and why Secret Empire is getting more political than ever before and extremely exciting. Or absolutely not exciting if you hate politics. Good guy Cap here just to sneak in and give you the top 9 reasons real quick in summary of why Secret Empire is very political. Number 1, we're dealing Mariah Hill references the overturned window. Number 2, Hydra Youth Choir. Number 3, ethical adjustment of Black Widow. 4, the fostering of fear and prejudice. 5, fake news and media control. 6, the uselessness of Twitter. 7, Hydra observation committees. 8, New York news bias. And 9, the cult of personality. For more details, stay tuned with more info from Hydra Bob. The first thing, Mariah Hill, when she confronts Black Widow, references something called an Overton window. Now, an Overton window is the window of discourse, and it represents a range of ideas that the public will accept. It's often referenced by media pundits, and it's used in political discussions, almost exclusively in political discussions. It basically is the idea that at any particular period of time, whatever is encased, whatever falls within the Overton window, are those ideas that are accepted by the public. So the way it usually starts off, it's on a chart, and I'll have it beside me here. It starts off when an idea is first introduced. It might be unthinkable to think that's such a crazy idea. It's unthinkable that it will ever happen. It'll then be considered radical, then it'll become acceptable, then it will be considered sensible, then it'll become popular, and eventually popular ideas become public policy. And it's a sliding scale, and the Overton window goes up and down. And the Overton window goes up and down, which is opposite from the political spectrum that goes from left to right. Fascism is generally considered right, communism considered left of center now, and meanwhile the Overton window, all these ideas that infect the political spectrum, the Overton window determines what ideas are acceptable and which ideas are radical or unthinkable. Well, what's interesting is that Mariah Hill references the Overton window in her discussions with Black Widow, because they're talking about all the death and destruction that the wars in the various cities have had and the destruction that it has wrought. And she says, it's called an Overton window, Nat, and if you look out, if you look out, you'll see rules are different now. Turns out I was just way ahead of the curve. What Mariah Hill is saying is that in the past, Mariah Hill has been a hated character by many people. She's been considered a bitch by a lot of people. Why has Mariah Hill been considered a bitch? Because she basically was a shitty leader of S.H.I.E.L.D. She did what she wanted. She violated orders. She gave orders. She was corrupt. She seemed to be somewhat power hungry. She made bad decisions, poor decisions, and she seemed very, quite frankly, at times a little fascist. And during Civil War II, she worked with that other fascist called Carol Danvers, and she contributed to the killing of Tony Stark, or at least putting him into a coma. Mariah Hill is not a liked character. But here Mariah Hill is making a very good point. You know, she's basically saying, look, for all the criticism I got, and meanwhile, we had a wolf in sheep's clothing. You know, everyone was criticizing my ideas, that I was too radical, and here we had a guy that was far more radical than me, and he was accepted. So that Overton window, what was once considered incredible, what was once considered extreme and radical in the Marvel Universe, I mean, Hydra would never take over the United States. Well, what was once unthinkable and radical has suddenly become policy. The Overton window, in all its true glory, is really it's a great example of what's happened in the Marvel Universe, and also what's happening in our own world. All these ideas that we thought were crazy, that nobody could ever get elected president of the United States if they did this and they did that. Well, look at Donald Trump. Look at all the controversy he's caused. And so Again, so the number one political influence, it's an obvious political reference right out of Mariah Hill's mouth. From Nick Spencer's mind to Mariah Hill's mouth to our reader, to all the people reading this storyline. This is political, people. Interesting stuff. All right. Number 2, the Hydra Youth Choir. The Hydra Youth Choir, well, obviously, the Hydra Youth Choir is a rough play on the old Hitler Youth. You know, whenever you have youth groups named after the government in power, you know you're going to have some problems there. And of course, there's a lot of propaganda there. And the propaganda used for the Hydra Youth Choir is that you get to meet Captain America, you get to meet Hydra Cap, and they teach strength and they teach perseverance. And during the Secret Empire uprising, Amadeus Cho infiltrates the Hydra Youth Choir because he's got a pretty good singing voice, and he orchestrates a situation where he actually turns Nadia, and he betrays Nadia and betrays Miles Morales by turning them in, but they manage to escape, and he does that deliberately so he gets in the good books with the Viper, because the Viper shows up and she gives a speech. She gives a speech to the Hydra Youth Choir. To falter is to die, she says. And again, very political. 3, Black Widow engages in something called ethical adjustment. Before she sends the champions in to infiltrate the Hydra Youth Choir, the champions joke about Black Widow giving them an ethical adjustment to try to sort of influence the way they think a little bit. I mean, they're sort of joking about it, but Natalia's taking it quite seriously. Again, this playing on minds, this trying to influence the younger generation with these more militaristic ideas. Again, that's political stuff. A 4th example, we have a scene in Secret Empire Uprising where, in escaping the Hydra Youth Choir, Miles Morales, Spider-Man, is escaping with Nadia, and he's trying to rescue a lot of the other children that are in the Hydra Youth Choir and saying, look, come with me, I will save you, we'll take you to safety, because they have that hideout in the Nevada desert. They said, look, come with us, we'll keep you safe, we'll help you escape here. And what's incredible about this is that he says to them, and I'm going to read it, he says, I get it, you guys feel lost, you're disenfranchised, you're looking for somewhere to belong, but Hydra is not the answer. Come, he says, we'll take you all to safety. But the response he gets from one of the children is incredible. One of the teenagers is incredible. They don't like him, they hate him. They say, you think we'd go with you? I hope you die. That's what one of the teenagers says. Now I want you to think about this for a second. I did a video a while back about Captain Marvel during Civil War II, about how at the end of Civil War II, she basically ends up killing Tony Stark, at least to the eyes of all the Americans who watched her kill Tony Stark on TV. They believe he's dead. They watched all that, and they considered Captain Marvel a hero. And I thought that was really strange, and a lot of people criticized Captain Marvel for acting like a fascist. But here we are. So we have a Marvel universe now that not only considers Captain Marvel a hero for killing Iron Man, but we have a Marvel universe now that under a Hydra Captain America, the children, the average citizen children of the Marvel universe are saying to Miles Morales, Spider-Man, they're saying to Spider-Man, I hope you die. I mean, this is how far America has fallen. I wonder, is this symbolic of Marvel Comics? Is this also a reflection of how tone-deaf Marvel Comics is to their own base? There's a lot of meta speaking outside the comic book here, anyway. Interesting stuff. A 5th sign of the political nature of Secret Empire is unquestionably the latest issue of Steve Rogers' Captain America, where this is incredible. This will probably annoy a shit pile of people. This is Steve Rogers. The entire issue is him basically giving an interview with a reporter that he doesn't like very much, because the reporter made a fool out of him during the original Civil War. But this here, Hydra Captain America, is in complete control of the interview, and he basically is telling her like it is. And basically, there's only one rule in the interview, and that is don't mention Las Vegas. Don't ask me any questions about Las Vegas, because as you recall, they decimated, the Hydra forces decimated Las Vegas because they were trying to make an example, because that's where the rebel heroes were fighting. And so they decimated Las Vegas. And he basically, he takes this reporter to task. He criticizes highly the media and attacks the journalist in particular. It's interesting where he says to the reporter at one point, "It's easy to understand why you don't want to believe the truth. It's where you get your power. But don't be surprised when others aren't so quick to agree. What you've done in the decades since the great illusion is force feed them propaganda, manipulate them, and isolate them. And now you're surprised when they're willing to believe me instead of you?" He's basically bragging. Hydra Captain America is basically bragging about how easy it is. All he had to be was a hero, and people are believing him. They look up to him to begin with, and now he's using that to his advantage. He's basically telegraphing exactly what he's doing, and he's still getting away with it. Does that sound like anybody else? You know, does that sound like a president to anyone? Huh? In our world? Unbelievable. He's saying it the way it is. Hydra Cap goes on to say that you refuse to talk about the people who matter, the ones who are now benefiting, the people on assembly lines, building dreadnoughts, finally working again after years of economic distress, the warships keeping our cities safe from above, while the AmeriCops do the same on the streets, and our Hydra soldiers protect us from threats beyond our borders. We have never been stronger, Hydra Cap says. And of course, the reporter says that's nonsense. What about the erosion of bedrock principles, personal liberty and freedom, equality? He says, what you had before was anything but equal. Now I look all across this country and I see people proudly saying, "Hail Hydra." And then the reporter says, "Except for the people in Las Vegas." To which Hydra Captain America shuts down the interview and says, "You're done, bitch." It doesn't actually say "you're done, bitch," but that's basically what it is. She's basically done. What's interesting about this is as the interview is being ended, she says to Hydra Cap, "You can't do this. You can't just arrest a journalist for asking a question. People will find out about this." And Hydra Captain America says something which has got to be classic Nick Spencer. He says, "I'm sure you're right, Miss Floyd. I imagine people on Twitter will be furious." I mean, that's just perfect. Nick Spencer's been all over Twitter. The President Trump's been all over Twitter. This is so clearly sort of satirizing the power of Twitter, and at the same time satirizing, quite frankly, how fucking weak Twitter actually is. Twitter really is useless. Hey man, I love Twitter. I'm on Twitter. I like Twitter. But it's useless. Very few people can frankly use Twitter. It's not that big a platform. It's just not that powerful. It's not that big, powerful a tool. I mean, the president might be on it, but how big is Twitter? Captain America doesn't worry about Twitter. Hydra Captain America. You think Hydra Bob cares about his Twitter account? He doesn't give a shit about Twitter. Because the only people on Twitter, they got no power. All they do is they got time on their hands, right? What the hell are they actually doing? What are they actually contributing? That's not power. That's just online social media. And if something's going wrong and you're just bitching online, that ain't gonna get you anywhere, people. So it's interesting. Now, is that political? Of course it is. But there's more. Hydra also has something called Hydra Observation Committees. And Hydra Observation Committees are all over America. So they're sort of like neighborhood watches. Whenever you see somebody who's a little different than you, you can report them. And that's what they're doing all over the Marvel Universe. If you see somebody who's strange in your neighborhood, they might be an inhuman, or they might be a mutant. So you're going to report them. It's sort of like a neighborhood watch. And that's what they do. And they were doing a lot of that in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and that's one of the things that Sam Wilson in his comic book was putting a stop to. So that's interesting too. The other thing that I think is implicitly a political statement is the whole situation of New York City itself. Isn't it interesting that in Secret Empire, all of New York City is in the Dark Force dimension? You know, it's like New York City is what suffers. You know, New York City is the big city that's suffering. The heroes in New York City are trapped in New York, and they're in the Dark Force dimension, and they're trapped. And in the pages of Doctor Strange, Daredevil, Spider-Woman, and Doctor Strange and the Kingpin are trapped in New York, along with Iron Fist and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones are all trapped in New York City. But it's New York City that's downtrodden. There's New York City, even though it's Las Vegas that's destroyed, there's a lot of focus on the darkness around New York City, how the people are under threat. And it's just like, in the media and in the news, and I'm saying this as a Canadian observer, New York is always given so much emphasis. And just like in our real world, New York seems to be, they always seem to be complaining because they're always seem, especially now with Donald Trump in the White House, they don't like Donald Trump, they don't like the president. It's like, oh, woeful me, poor New York City, look what they're going through all the time. At least that's my outside observation. And here we have in Secret Empire, New York City is under darkness. New York City has to come out of this. And so, you know, Nick Spencer's writing this, and you know that at the end of the day, New York City is going to come flying out of this, and the heroes are going to ultimately win the day. But I think that's implicit in there as well. Another powerful political theme in Secret Empire is the cult of personality. Just the power of that a personality can have. Just like in our world, it's the power of a person's personality that can rise them in the ranks. Like let's face it, obviously President Trump has a powerful personality. It's the cult of his personality that brought him to power. It's the cult of Captain America's personality. Steve Rogers, Captain America, his cult, he has such a huge following that he was able to manipulate and deceive people for so long, and he was successful at it. And this leads into Deadpool and Punisher, because a lot of people are wondering why. It's not surprising at all, by the way, that the Punisher is a willing Hydra operative working for Hydra Captain America. And why? People seem to forget what happened in Civil War. Remember in the original Civil War? In the original Civil War, the Punisher made it very clear that he loved Captain America. The Punisher loves and practically worships Steve Rogers. He killed for Steve Rogers in the original Civil War. That pissed off, at that time, Steve Rogers was a good guy, and he didn't want Frank Castle to do that. But Frank Castle refused to fight Captain America. Captain America in the original Civil War, when the Punisher killed some bad guys, Steve Rogers was taking him down, but he refused to. The Punisher refused to fight back. He goes, not you, not you. Because he refuses to fight. He respects Captain America, Steve Rogers, that much. And bear in mind, all Frank Castle, all the Punisher is, he's all about revenge. He has people that he idolizes, and one of those people is Steve Rogers. You can imagine that if you're the Punisher, and here we have Steve Rogers, and he comes out as a Hydra agent, and he reveals he's been tough, and he's about power and strength and the fist all along. I'm thinking Frank Castle, no wonder Frank Castle's loving this. He goes, this is awesome, because now you're just like me. You believe in power and strength and about decimating and destroying the weakness, which is the criminal element. I mean, this is right up Frank Castle's alley. And that's exactly, it's the power of that personality that has made Punisher a willing agent of Hydra. And similarly, in the pages of Deadpool number 31, Hydra Cap, Steve Rogers, asked Deadpool to kill Phil Coulson. To kill Phil Coulson for the good of the country. And Deadpool did. He did. He shot... Now, it looks like Phil Coulson's dead. He probably isn't. It is comic books after all. But Deadpool did what Steve Rogers asked him to do. Now, I don't think he really knew he was a Hydra agent at the time, but he did that on the faith, on simply the faith of what Captain America asked him to do. He did it. So... the cult of personality in politics is a cult of personality here too. Overall, guys, the politics of Secret Empire has made this a good story. And it's unfortunate that all this other bad publicity and bad everything else that Marvel's gone through has unfortunately really taken the wind out of the sails of Secret Empire, because this is a good story that deserves a read. And guys, this is fun stuff. I'm enjoying this. I'm loving it. What better time to have discussions about politics than within the fictional safety of comic books? Comic Boom out, and we'll talk to you later.